In this report, I asked the question, can I retire early in Boquete, Panama on $1,066 a month? I really think I could, but many people will need more. First, I'll share my estimated cost of living for two people in Boquete, Panama. Then I'll talk about some of our favorite meals in restaurants and what some of the meals cost. We also take you on our favorite hike, our favorite nightlife spots, and our $5 hot springs do-it-yourself tour. Finally, we'll end this video with my retirement livability factors such as walkability, food, social consideration, visa information, weather, and real estate. But you do not need to take notes. We will provide Google Map links to everything we talk about and at the end of this video. Before discussing our cost of living estimate for two people here, I wanted to answer the question, who would love to live in Boquete? Last week we showed you Bocas del Toro, Panama, which is an island on the Caribbean side of Panama. But some of you said that the Caribbean is fine for vacations, but it might be too warm for you to live year-round. Well, Boquete, Panama might be the right place for you then. Boquete is a small town in the Green Mountain Highlands of Panama with around 18,000 people living there. About 3,000 of the people living there are immigrants from all over the world, including Americans, Canadians, Colombians, Venezuelans, and Europeans. Because of its elevation of 3,900 feet or 1,200 meters above sea level, it is much cooler than the towns at sea level. So very few of the homes even have heating or air conditioning. Because of the rich soil and elevation, the area is ideal for growing coffee also. The most expensive coffee in the world is grown here, called geisha coffee. So despite the recent boom in tourism, Boquete's largest income source is not tourism, but coffee. Boquete is one of the most beautiful places in the world in terms of scenery. The lush green mountains surrounding the city have an almost unlimited supply of hiking trails that both locals and expats love to hike. There's also a lively art and live music scene in Boquete that are well attended, including the annual Boquete Jazz and Blues Festival that usually takes place sometime in March of each year. There's also a performing theater group, the Boquete Community Players, or the BCP. The BCP also hosts a weekly market on Tuesday that includes arts, crafts, and delicious local and foreign foods from around the world that's well attended. For a town this small size, there's a surprisingly large selection of international food choices, although this is not so surprising when you see all of the large homes in the mountains around Boquete. Only a large expat community such as in Boquete would have both the money and the desire to eat in restaurants that would be available in their home country. Luckily, there are restaurants in Boquete that are serving local traditional dishes that can easily be less than half of what meals cost in the international restaurants. So who would love to live in Boquete? Anyone that loves cooler highland temperatures with amazing hiking trails that wind through the lush green mountains. Someone that wants not only local Panamanian restaurants, but also international cuisine from around the world. Someone that wants to be around a large community of expats in a small town that is able to get them acclimated to a new country. Someone that wants to live in a small town but still be able to buy luxury foods from home and has the money to pay for it. Basically, someone that wants to be in a strikingly beautiful lush green mountain town but still has a strong taste for their home country culture from time to time. Okay, cost of living in Boquete, Panama. Here's my estimated cost of living for two people in Boquete. Now I will answer the question, can I retire early in Boquete, Panama on $1,066 a month? Okay, rents. Most of the expats in Boquetes have larger budgets and stay in nicer homes, more modern homes, starting around $600 and on up per month. But we asked our friend Gil to show us one-bedroom apartments and small homes in the area that would rent for around $300 to $400 per month, based upon what he showed us. We think we could get a 1-bedroom apartment for around $400 per month plus utilities, so I will use $400 for rent for my cost of living estimate. Groceries. Based upon our time there and the money we spent on groceries, we estimate around $340 per month in groceries for the two of us. Here are the two markets where we bought our groceries. There's just links here for you. There's also an amazing place to buy European foods at reasonable prices. That's a Euro restaurant or Euro grocery store. We'll provide a link to that too. Chung was almost as excited seeing this grocery store full of European foods as she was when she first discovered the Lidl grocery stores in Portugal. You will also want to go to the Tuesday market starting around 9 a.m. for shopping for foods. Okay, restaurants. If we went out to eat twice per week, once for date night and once for a lunch somewhere, we would spend around $45 per week or $180 per month in restaurants for the two of us. We could keep it fun and interesting by having a few picnics during our hikes each week, but we would bring food from home, so it is included in our estimate for groceries. Okay, cell phone data. Mostly we use the internet at home, but we also need internet access from time to time when we are out of the house for Google Maps and searches and that kind of thing. The cost to recharge is about $20 a month, and my Android phone will act as a hotspot so we can both be on the internet at the same time when we're out of the house. Okay, laundry and water. For laundry, Chung estimated about $32 for the drop-off and pick-up laundry. But the water is so clean in Boquete, we would just use the 𝗂𝐿𝐴 water filter on the tap water for about $4 per month for filter replacements. Internet for your home is about $50 a month or 10 megabits per 10 megabit service. Uber taxi. Mostly we just walked everywhere while we were in Boquete, but we took colectivo vans and local buses to the trailheads, the hot springs, and the nearby town of David as needed. The colectivo vans that run people up to the mountain neighborhoods around Boquete run around $1 or $2, and the bus to David was $1.75. So for the two of us, I would estimate about $40 a month for transportation. Okay, alcohol. Local beers called Panama and Balboa were about 70 US cents for a small bottle and $1.40 US for the large bottles. In bars and restaurants, those prices are easily double, and we didn't see any happy hours that included beer while we were in Boquete, so the alcohol costs more here than in Bocas. Okay, there's a table on the web page. If you click the link in the notes below this YouTube video, it'll take you to the web page where we have the table showing the expenses and all of the other links I'm talking about in this video. But rent $400, groceries $340, restaurants $180, thus sell for $20, $32 for laundry, $4 for water, filters, $50 for internet, and about $40 for transportation. All of that comes to $1,066 per month. And then if you drink alcohol, we didn't want to add that in because not everyone does. We estimate for two people about $160 a month. And so in that case, you would spend about $1,226 a month to live in Boquete, or that's what we would spend. The above cost of living is for two people. That's just an estimate on the low end. For a full understanding of what it would cost you to live here, visit Numbeo for Boquete and add anything you spend money on in your home country that's not mentioned in the above table. And there's a link provided to Numbeo here. Our costs of living are generally much lower than a new traveler because we are bargain hunters, but there are a few people that might be able to live much cheaper than we do even. Never move anywhere until you've visited first personally to verify the living costs for your lifestyle and needs. I'm not guaranteeing these prices for you. These are just my notes and estimates from the time of my visit and this post. Your costs will likely be drastically different depending on your lifestyle. Most expats report spending more money per month than the low-end estimate we are reporting here. You will hear more typical living costs in the range of $1,500 to $2,800 per month. But people spending that much also have higher incomes or pensions. They often report spending more on eating out and drinking more alcohol in local bars and restaurants. And many also have cars and more expensive apartments and homes that they're paying for. Many of the expats we chatted with had moved here from Costa Rica. If you're going to try to retire cheap overseas, make sure to have emergency funds available should you have some unexpected emergencies. To learn more about that, read my report called The 2 Biggest Risks of Retiring Early for Cheap Overseas. There's a link provided for that. Boquete's Best Restaurants. At the link below, you'll also find our favorite restaurants in Boquete. The favorite ones are on top. Some places we ate at, we just didn't make the list. Only the ones that we would go back and eat at, we're going to mention are on the list. And we'll mention a couple of our favorites now, just to give you an idea. There's a restaurant, 𝗏𝐵𝐾𝐈𝐿 Panama, probably the best meal we had in Boquete. The surprising thing was the presentation and flavor really were of 4 or 5 star quality. But the price was only $7-ish for lunch, which was a 3-course lunch. And they served both veg and non-veg for that price. Next up, probably there was a couple of Italian restaurants there, 𝐷𝗨 and Resto Gusto. They both had really delicious foods, but the prices, since they're international restaurants, are going to start a little higher, around $8 for meals starting in those 2 restaurants. And then we wanted to mention our favorite local food restaurant. This restaurant has 3 branches in town. The link we're giving you on the webpage is to our favorite of the 3. The meals start here for around $4, and they are a very large helping, and you probably can get away with 1 or 2 of these per day, to give you an idea of what it would cost to eat as a local here. And all the other restaurants we loved are on the webpage below. Okay, Boquete's nightlife. Boquete Brewing Company. This seemed to be where expats congregate and listen to other expats play rock and roll in the evening. There was no cover, and the homemade craft beers start at around $4 or $5, but national beers were a little cheaper. And next up is Tap Out. This crowd was a little more integrated. As the name implies, it's a sports bar with large TVs on every wall. But outside in the backyard, there's a fire pit, and a lot of the younger locals seem to be enjoying the moonlight out in the backyard area. And there's links to both of these places. There's also a place called Taboo, a place that seemed to be the only happy hour we saw in town, but it was happy hour only for cocktails on the night we were there. We're not sure if they ever have happy hours on beers, but there's a nice view off the back deck. Things are probably not as lively right now because it's still winding down the pandemic period, but hopefully when you're in town they'll be a little more lively. Okay, next up, Boquete's $5 Hot Springs Do-It-Yourself Tour. We love this hot springs tour. One of the great things about much of Latin America is the colectivos. A colectivo is a minivan that holds about 12 to 15 people. The colectivo drives back and forth between 2 destinations all day, while people that need to go to either of those 2 places jump on and jump off. A colectivo typically has the names of the 2 destinations on its front windshield, so when one is driving by and it has the name of the place you want to go, you just wave your hand at the driver and they will pick you up. Colectivos are usually much cheaper than taxis. So from Boquete, catch the colectivo with the name Caldera Boquete on the windshield. They'll charge you about $2 per person to take you on the 45-minute drive to the small town called Caldera. When you get on the colectivo, tell the driver you want to get off at the Caldera Hot Springs. He'll drop you off at a dusty, unpaved road just a few kilometers past central Caldera. He'll point down a road, just walk all the way to the end. After you cross a man-made canal and a bridge over a river, turn left and start following the signs that say Caldera Hot Springs. Hot Springs, there it is. 300 more meters. C. I wonder why they wrote it in English. $2. Oh, the family. When you get to the land where the hot springs are located, they will charge you $3 entry per person. The below map shows you where to catch the 𝗏𝗡𝗢𝗄 in Boquete. You'll see the minivan 𝗏𝗡𝗢𝗄s on the street in front of the store on the below Google map. Once you find the 𝗏𝗡𝗢𝗄 to 𝗏aldera on the windshield, then just ask the driver to drop you off at 𝗏aldera Hot Springs. When you're done, just come back to the spot where he dropped you in 𝗏aldera and wait for the 𝗏𝗏𝗢𝗄 to come home. The last one returning to Boquete is around 3 p.m., but verify that with the driver at the time he drops you off. Okay, next up, our favorite hike in Boquete, Panama. The Pipeline Trail was our favorite hike in Boquete. Grab a 𝗏𝗏𝗢𝗄 in Boquete for $2, and it will the same spot and the Google map provided. Look for the one with the Boquete Bajo Mano on the windshield. Tell them to drop you at the Pipeline Trail. They will drop you on a spot with 2 roads you could take. Take the road to the left. About 300 meters up the road, you'll see a booth. Register your name and pay the $5 entry fee. Go at least as far as the 100-year-old tree as you hike up the mountain. To go home, just go to the spot where they dropped you off and wait for the 𝗏𝗏𝗢𝗄 to take you back to Boquete. This is a lovely hike. Okay, Boquete, Panama, livability factors. Here are some of the factors I think about when I consider a place for retirement potential. After I discuss each factor, I will assign an overall desirability score to Boquete. Okay, walkability, high. If I were to retire and cheap in Boquete, I would be able to walk to almost all of my favorite restaurants and markets. Since I could walk almost everywhere, I would not need a car. I could also use the 𝗏𝗏𝗢𝗄𝗄s to get around town, and the buses that run all over Panama are great. I would also consider getting bicycles for Chung and I and to get around town more quickly. We would ride the 𝗏𝗏𝗢𝗄s to get to the best trails in the mountains surrounding Boquete. We'd also use the buses to get to Bocas del Toro, Ḥidacy, Panama City, and other favorite places around Panama. We can even ride buses up into Costa Rica. Okay, internet, medium. We didn't speed test the internet, but we were able to do Zoom calls, watch Netflix movies, and upload YouTube videos while we were in Boquete. So the internet speeds are fine for our purposes. If you need a certain internet speed for your business or your life, I suggest reading my process for finding the best or the perfect apartment, which fulfills all of your needs. Just make sure to speed test the internet before you sign on the dotted line when you're renting an apartment long term. All that's in my Finding Apartment report, link provided. Okay, food, high. With a town of this size of less than 20,000 people, I would have expected fewer international food choices, so we were a bit surprised by the selection. But the prices were a little higher than we would expect, with entrees starting around $7 in the tourist or expat restaurants. So the selection was good, but the prices were probably a little higher because so many foreigners with higher incomes are living here. But there were also some food carts and local restaurants in the range of about $4 to $6 per meal. The food in the grocery stores seemed high to us, but that might be because there are many imported products for foreigners to purchase. But if you stick to the local brands instead of imported brands, it'll be easier for you to stay on budget. Okay, weather. Weather I would rank high. Boquete has beautiful weather year-round if you're not afraid of the rain. In fact, many of the homes here don't have heating or air conditioning, so you will save some money as compared to the air conditioning you would need to spend at sea level. Because Boquete is at an elevation of 3,900 feet or 1,200 meters, the temperatures stay cool year-round. The average nighttime lows only vary slightly from about 55 Fahrenheit or 12.7 Celsius in January to 59 Fahrenheit or 15 Celsius in March, and they average in that range all year. The average daytime highs only vary slightly from 75 Fahrenheit or 23.9 Celsius in March to 71 Fahrenheit or 21.6 Celsius in June. So there's very little temperature difference based upon seasons. 8 or more inches of rain falls in every month of the year except December through April. Okay, things to do. Medium. Hiking, biking, dirt bikes, quads, fishing, golfing, cooking, partying, yoga, restaurants, live music, growing fruits and vegetables, running, coffee tasting, gyms, trips to the beach, Panama City and nearby Costa Rica. If you are a lush green mountain lover, you will not run out of things to do. But if you're also into cultural exploration, you may get bored here eventually. Okay, social considerations. I would say medium. Since there are so many expats living here and tourists coming and going, there's a fairly high number of locals that speak basic English here to support the tourism. Plus, most of the expats speak some English, even if it's not their native tongue. So for everyday, simple, normal life transactions, you can get away without speaking much Spanish here. But for a fuller life, integrated with both locals and foreigners, you'll need to pick up some Spanish. That will add significant depth to your choices of friends and things to do. If you are single, a town of this size may limit your dating life substantially, especially if you only speak English. Okay, expats. I would say hi. There are 3,000 expats living in Boquete area, which is a very high concentration considering the town has less than 20,000 people. There's a Facebook page for newcomers to Boquete with about 1,700 members. This group seems to have both expats and locals, but it is mostly in English, so there is a good chance that people will see your questions and help provide a soft landing in Boquete. I suggest people go to these kinds of resources to find answers to questions that only an expat would know. But make sure to make friends with both locals and expats for a richer experience living overseas. I explain why in my report. The top 10 mistakes international retirees make, link provided. Okay, real estate, I would say high, or maybe medium desirability. Just walking around Boquete and window shopping, we saw some really expensive places for sale. At the time I wrote this report, I did a research on 0.2 homes, link provided, for the cheapest house in the area. I was wondering if there was anything cheaper. I found the below listing for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house presently listed for $130,000. Of course, it may be gone by the time you read this, but it'll give you an idea of the low end, at least for today. But I never recommend buying until you have lived somewhere for at least 2 to 3 years. In fact, I have a report explaining why retired expats should not buy real estate overseas. Make sure to read that before deciding to buy real estate overseas. Okay, visa. This is high, very desirable. Citizens of many countries are given 90-day visa-free tourist stamps upon arrival in Panama. Citizens of the US and Canada are still getting 180 days, link provided for source. If you fall in love with Panama and decide to retire here, you can apply for a retirement visa. The retiree residence status requires that an applicant demonstrate an income or pension of only 1,000 US per month and 250 US more for each dependent. You can certainly travel to Panama on a tourist visa and later change your status in Panama. We have provided a link to all of the other requirements, such as health certificate and a police report that are required if you decide you want to retire here. Okay, safety. I would say high. Panama is generally one of the safer countries to live or travel in Central and South America, but do read the U.S. State Department's travel advisory for Panama and all other parts of the world to learn about exceptions and any known hotspots, link provided. Personally, we felt very safe in Panama, but I don't judge safety at the country level. I find it more useful to think of safety at the neighborhood or area level. Boquete felt safe to us, but do read my report on how to travel the world safely, including in your home country. I provide all of my tips and tricks that have kept me safe for 14 plus years traveling around the world. Okay, Boquete overall desirability score. For retiring, I would say high. If you are a cool mountain or highlands lover that would prefer to be near other expats that you can socialize with, and you would like many international restaurant choices and grocery stores with imported food choices from home, then Boquete might be right for you. In fact, Boquete would be in the top 3 places both Chung and I would settle in Panama. We would not only enjoy our time here, but it would be a nice base to explore other parts of Latin America. Stay tuned for our other favorite places in Panama and around the world. Subscribe so you won't miss anything. Thanks for reviewing our report. Can I retire early in Boquete, Panama on $1,066 per month? Make sure to grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 14 years. Please subscribe to vagabondbuddha.com or our YouTube channel to watch us move around the world. 14 years and 67 countries so far. This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha. Thank you for stopping by. The world is your home. What time will you be home for dinner? Click the link in the notes below this video for Google Map links, reports, and other information. There you will also see our Retire Cheap in Paradise catalog, how we pay for our travels, and my free ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 14 plus years. Hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.